It's duel day, and it's finally the turn of the kid who has never won a single fight, the weakest in the whole class. Even the teacher felt bad about what was coming for him. The girl he's about to face pulled out a magic sword so massive it left everyone speechless. That size, not even Mia Khalifa could handle. When the boy drew his weapon, she came at him with everything she had, but she couldn't land a hit and felt something was off about him. When she went for a faster attack, the kid simply caught the strike with his bare hand. Everyone was in shock. Furious, she made her sword transform into a giant magic greatsword and attacked with full force. He tried to defend himself, but his weapon shattered and he was left wide open. A cloud of smoke rose up, and everyone thought he was done for. But the guy was still standing there, gripping the blade with his bare hand. Nobody could make sense of what they were seeing, and when he snapped her sword in half using nothing but his hands, even the teacher lost it, with no idea what just happened to that kid. His name is Mizukami, but the one inside his body is Dantario, the great demon king. The thing is, a few years back the Celestial War broke out on Earth. Humans asked the angels for help, but found out they were actually the ones invading our world. While everyone was running away, only one person stood their ground, Jean, the sacred knight. The angel laughed in her face and unleashed a monstrous power. Since the gods were nowhere to be found, humanity turned to the other side of the force, the demon king, Dantario. With the alliance made with the humans, Dantario went all out to take down the giant angel. He sliced the thing apart over and over, but the bastard kept regenerating. Hours of non-stop fighting until the angel unleashed a special attack so insane it almost wiped the whole map. Thanks to the Demon King, everyone stayed safe inside his magic barrier. Jean realized that the Demon King wasn't tanking the angel anymore and wanted to help, but that was a fight between gods and she couldn't even tickle the thing. That's when Dantario used his secret power. He looked back and told Jean it was an honor to fight by her side. The Demon King activated a spell in his chest and glowed so intensely that both he and the angel vanished from the map, leaving only the humans alive. As he fell into pure void, out of nowhere he wakes up in a human body. Looking down at himself, he realized the magic had worked, and he was reborn into another life. The next day, he found out he was in the body of Mizukami, a student at the Subjugation Force Academy. He also noticed the world was at peace with no angel invasion, meaning the suicide attack had worked. Walking around the city, he spotted some guys beating up a kid and saved the boy from the bullies. This is the first politically correct Demon King. Back in the day, those same bullies used to beat up Mizukami all the time. Now seeing him try to play the hero, they cracked up laughing. The gang leader launched a spell straight at the MC, and he deflected the magic with just one finger. The guys were in shock. Student Asahi Sakurada comes out of nowhere with two giant weapons and steps in front to protect the MC, but the Demon King told her to relax because he was going to solo those guys himself. Their leader tried to land a punch, but the protagonist dodges it laughing and sends the guy flying. Being humiliated in front of everyone, the guy got furious and used a spell to buff his speed, but the protagonist activates his dark magic and lands a hit straight to his stomach, taking down the bully without even breaking a sweat. Everyone around lost it trying to figure out how Mizukami got so insanely strong. The rest of the gang ran off scared out of their minds. The girl stood there staring at him, asking where he got those magic circles from. He told her straight up, "I am Dantario, the Demon King." Obviously Asahi wasn't buying it. When Dantario looked closely at her face, he recognized her instantly. That was Jean. Meanwhile, there was an angel hiding and watching all of this from a distance. Feathers start falling from the sky. The protagonist looks up, but the angel was already gone. The scene cuts to the Angel Extermination Training School. Young talents from all over the country are gathered there to learn how to exterminate angels with their abilities. A group of students is gathered in the gym. The coach says that the machine will measure each person's strength, and the result affects enlistment into the Angel Extermination team. Asahi watches the protagonist and thinks that no one can discover his secret. However, a hand grabs his shoulder tightly. Yamazaki pushes him aside, saying he wants to be the first to be tested. He stares at our protagonist, steps onto the platform and starts releasing his power. The machine shows that the result is 1006. Everyone is impressed that he reached 4 digits, since no one besides Asahi had managed it. Yamazaki is completely exhausted, while the Demon King thinks he is very weak. He thinks that's probably why the world is so peaceful. Yamazaki beckons our boy with his hand, who smiles at him. The protagonist raises his hand and says he'll be next. The students in the crowd are confused because he just got out of the hospital and probably won't be able to surpass 4 digits. While climbing onto the platform, Dantario finds this power measuring machine interesting, since he had never seen anything like it in the old days. The bully asks if this is history class or something, because the boy is only good at studying, but Mizukami looks uneasy. A flashback appears. He is studying in a library. The boy is finding the book very difficult, but then hears a woman talking to her son. When he looks to the side, he thinks of his late mother and sees the boy very happy with his mother. The library falls silent, and tears begin to fall from our protagonist's face. Back in the present, Mizukami tells the bully that he will never understand someone who learned to do everything alone, with no one to rely on. As soon as our boy steps onto the platform, a demonic aura fills the gym. but the machine doesn't seem to react. Everyone in the audience is confused, but then out of nowhere the numbers start rising like crazy. The jealous bully says the machine is broken. The airbag girl finds it strange that he gathered all that power for just 1 second. The coach says, "Hey kid, try again. I'm sure the machine is broken." The big-headed guy thinks it's insane. He heard that even among the extermination team members, only some can get past 5 digits. The protagonist thinks that only one person noticed that. Mizukami says they don't need to be shocked, because he's going to show what he's capable of. He closes his eyes and concentrates, and soon gives a confident smile. The numbers keep rising, leaving everyone completely stunned. The jealous one shouts that he's sure the machine is broken, while Asahi is sure it isn't. The protagonist knows that because he has so much power, no one there can sense it. The demon's power is so great that the machine froze and boom, it exploded behind him. Everyone stares at the scene in complete disbelief, and our Chad boy says that this toy is way too weak. The students still have those blank potato-like faces. The coach shouts that the test is cancelled, and tells everyone to wait because he's going to make contact. Out of nowhere, the Apple Watch starts alerting them that an angel has just appeared in the city, and asks all the students to support the offensive. The boys are scared to death, asking if this was really serious. Yamazaki celebrates, saying that he's finally going into combat. The girl seems pretty anxious, but Mizukami is very confident. A street in the city seems very calm. A boy is walking with his mother when something catches his attention. He immediately realizes that an angel is above them. The mother looks back in disbelief, but the angel has already jumped and has its hand on the boy's head. The creature is about to have its meal. However, a hand-conjuring power appears. The creature is hit dead on, and the one who hit it was the bully. While the smoke clears, the angel leaps toward Yamazaki, preparing to slice up our bully, who falls flat on his butt. When he looks up in fear, he sees that the attack destroyed the pillar behind him. But the angel doesn't stop, and punches the little boy, sending him flying like one of Elon Musk's rockets. The mother screams desperately for her son. However, our favorite demon catches the boy before he reaches Mars, and sends him straight into Asahi's arms. He clenches his fists, and says that the time has finally come to test this body. The creature is biting itself in rage. At the sight of that, and smiling, it heads toward the protagonist. The bully and a girl who appeared out of nowhere are in shock, because they think magic doesn't work against that creature. The demon is charging up his aura, thinking that it's time to warm up a little. Something catches his attention, because a guy showed up and told everyone to fall back. This is Makoto Saito, the leader of the second extermination squad. The weird girl says the leader has finally arrived, and the little demon is thinking that this was one of the warriors from that era. Dantaria wants to know what that body can do. Out of nowhere, Saito opens a system and says help will arrive soon. But behind him someone shouts that they're going to fight too. It's the airbag girl. He draws his pistol and says he's counting on her help, but that he'll lure the creature away until help arrives. The pistol starts charging up energy and then fires, but the creature activates matrix powers and dodges perfectly. It backs off to recover its stance. Mizukami is analyzing that monster's movements. Asahi draws his sword and charges in, unleashing a slash, but it's blocked by just one of the creature's hands, leaving her completely confused. Saito takes advantage of the opening and rushes in, launching an attack aimed at the shoulder, landing a deep cut. He plants his boot in the thing's face, does a flip, while Asahi draws her Glock, charges a shot. The bullet bounces off the creature like in a Looney Tunes cartoon, making the thing furious. She looks at the pistol, but she forgot the thing was wearing level 3 armor. The guy gets scared, but he knows that to exterminate an angel you need at least 3 people. He's explaining that to the girl. The monster jumps toward them, but our boy Sigma appears to intercept the attack. They feel relieved, because that was a close one, and the protagonist gives the creature a deadly glare, which can't believe what just happened, and quickly retreats to its position. The protagonist says they were having a hard time, so he came to lend a hand. Saito tells the boy to fall back immediately, but the airbag girl says he can help us. The guy is confused, seeing the protagonist so confident. The leader says that if the girl trusts him, then it's fine, but the kid has to stay in support. Mizukami confirms that he understands, but then immediately steps forward. Well, now we've just found out that the angel can talk, and that it can't wait for the boy to get the hell out of there. But a Logan Paul uppercut hits the thing right in the chin, sending it flying into the air. The leader and the girl have no idea what just happened, but an explosion goes off behind Saito. The creature looks like a cockroach crushed on the ground. When Saito looks back, he sees our demon coming in with a kick like Sanji from One Piece, who points his finger downward, sending a blast of power toward the creature. Like in Dragon Ball, he teleports to his team's side. The leader is about to ask something, but Mizukami cuts him off, saying not to stand around chatting and to stay alert. The creature gets furious and leaps high into the air. It opens its hands and starts charging an attack, and fires 2 blasts toward our team. The leader immediately raises his hands and puts up a shield together with Asahi. The weird girl says she has to help too, and joins the team to raise a shield. A huge explosion happens, but it hits our squad's shield head on. The buildings around them are covered by a burst of light. The 2 girls fall to the ground like sacks of trash. The weirdo opens her eyes and sees that the protagonist endured the attack with just one hand. He charges a counterattack, hitting the creature's arm dead on. The thing ends up looking like a Lego. The weirdo shouts that an attack finally connected. The creature starts writhing around, while the girl is in shock, seeing that the thing's arm starts regenerating. Saito quickly steps in front of the girls and says he'll protect them, but our demon boy says that won't be necessary, and with a demonic aura, he says he'll teach them how to kill an angel. As he walks, he tells everyone to pay close attention. The thing and the boy stare each other down like cowboys in the Wild West. The angel vanishes from where it was, and is already on top of the boy to strike him. Mizukami grabs the creature's arm and rips it off, taking the bone with it. The creature is in agony and quickly retreats, but its arm regenerates again. As he throws away the creature's arm, the boy says that most angels have regenerative powers. The tough guy is scared because he knows they won't be able to defeat that thing. Suddenly a golden circle appears in front of the angel. It aims at the sky, summoning lightning, sending it straight at the protagonist. But with just his aura, he defends himself, deflecting that lightning. The angel looks dumbfounded. While the girls think that's impossible, Mizukami knows there's a limit to the angel's regenerative power. He charges power at the tip of his finger, and fires it straight at the creature's arms. The leader can't understand what he's doing. Without arms, the creature will never be able to play a game of lol again. Then the weirdo realizes that the regeneration is slower than before, and the protagonist warns that if you let the creature regenerate too many times, you'll be the one who ends up exhausted. The leader is thinking, how is this kid not tired after all that? The creature, furious that it'll never be able to play a game of lol again, charges toward our boy, who explains that the angel's magic is concentrated in the head and chest. He grabs the creature's head and pierces its chest with just his hand, starts squeezing hard until the thing's head explodes. After the creature vanished like a fart in the wind, he says that if you destroy both limbs at once, it will never regenerate again. With the face of a psychopath, he says class is over for today, and hopes the example helped them. Everyone is scared shitless, especially the bully. The girls thought it was very simple, while Saito couldn't understand how it was so easy for the boy. The leader says that only the 5 world-class ones should know that. While the bully says Mizukami is using hacks, there was no way he could be that strong in so little time. Saito thanks him for being saved, and asks if he's really from this land. Our boy replies that he is Dantario, the Demon King. Saito is confused, wondering how that skinny boy could be the Demon King. Putting the matter aside, Saito says he liked fighting alongside the so-called Demon King. The weird girl says it's amazing to receive praise like that from a member of the extermination. And look at that. The protagonist's future girlfriend is biting herself with jealousy. The weird girl calls out to Mizukami, and asks how he suddenly got so strong, since he was a loser just like her. From afar he asks, "What do you mean?" Suddenly, the 3 of them stare intently at the boy, and he replies that he simply awakened as the Demon King. The weirdo gets excited about that, while the other 2 just stand there with potato faces. The weird girl says she hopes to awaken like him someday. The protagonist puts his hand on his chin and activates a skill in his eye. After analyzing the girl's body, he says she has a lot of talent. What a naughty demon. She gets all happy from the compliment. But when Mizukami is about to say something, he feels a chill down his spine, and he shouts for Asahi to get out of there immediately. Suddenly, a hand grabs the girl by the neck and throws her far away. Mizukami activates his little finger again and lands a shot right on the monster's chin. The monster felt the attack and soon turns toward the protagonist. Striking a fighting pose, it brings its hand to its face, which quickly regenerates. The airbag girl says she couldn't sense the creature's presence, which suddenly disappears and reappears behind the protagonist, looking like a Shinigami from Death Note. The protag glances back and punches the Pinocchio angel, sending it flying away. The creature goes rolling but soon regains its posture. The protagonist is surprised because the creature has a space-time teleportation ability he had never seen before. Smiling like a maniac, he says that's interesting. While the Pinocchio angel stares at him, he says he's eager to investigate that body. The airbag girl is surprised by the appearance of the second angel, and the leader says that's unusual. After checking the system, Asahi says this type has never been seen before, and is sure it's a new type, leaving Saito confused, since a species like that hasn't been seen in over 100 years. Our demon immediately releases his evil aura, leaving Pinocchio distressed. The Pinocchio angel looks to the side and sees 2 skinny guys shitting themselves. It breaks into a smile and disappears from Mizukami's sight, throwing itself at the skinny boys, opening its mouth to devour them. But the protagonist doesn't let that happen, and slaps the creature across the face, sending it flying meters away and crashing into a building. Mizukami smiles and tells the monster that he is its opponent. The angel recovers from the attack, and moves its hand, activating a very bright light. The protagonist prepares an attack in his fist, but the creature teleports behind him again. The Pinocchio angel goes in for an attack that is about to hit the boy right in the back of the neck, but he blocks it with one finger, and says that with such a rare ability, Pinocchio should be more creative. He turns his Rasengan on Pinocchio, landing it cleanly, and it pierces his chest, leaving a hole bigger than when my ex left me. He grabs the creature's head, which tries to teleport, but the boy says he won't let Pinocchio escape. Saito can't believe Mizukami managed to block the angel's teleportation. The protagonist thrusts his hand into the creature's hole, making it tremble, and inside the hole he finds a pointed sphere that was making Pinocchio teleport, but in a second it disappears. we get a flashback to the horned guy's past life, where a gang of angels stands in front of a huge gate. Back in the present, Mizukami realizes that Sphere was made of the same material as that great gate. He thanked it for the information, and prepares a Poeton punch, which lands squarely in the angel's stomach. The protagonist squeezes the creature's head with so much force that its eyes bulge out like a puppet, finishing it off with an explosion. Our Chad even throws out an emote to taunt after the kill. Everyone was impressed by the skinny boy's strength. Saito questions whether this really was Mizukami's first fight, while the bully is almost having a fit. The leader says it's normal to react like that after seeing something like this, but there's someone who doesn't seem that impressed. The boy points at the airbags, or rather the girl. The leader says she is special. With a perfect angle from the artist, we find out that both the instructors and the students call her Berserker. She blushes, and Saito says the boy is on a level above her. The protagonist says he knows that because he is the king of the horned ones. The leader, laughing, says the boy has a point, and he goes on, saying the boy really is an anomaly. Mizukami says this is nothing compared to the level of the giant angel. The guy asks, "What do you mean?" And our boy replies that the angels he killed are nothing compared to the giant from his past life. Pulling out his Glock, Saito says that these are new times now, and humans know how to handle themselves. The boy doesn't really believe that because watching people, he sees that their awareness is way too lax. The boy's future girlfriend calls out to him and asks him to train her, because in her current state she can't fight them, and then suddenly shouts that she needs to win. The boy smiles as he watches her, thinking that if she really is Jane, she still has a lot of growing to do. Watching our couple from afar, the bully is dying of jealousy. He wants to know what tricks our protagonist is using. Deep down, he knows something is wrong, because the boy almost died before. Convinced, the bully thinks the boy is using some little boosters to increase his magic. The chapter begins at the Angel Extermination Training School, with students training with swords. These black tubes are anti-angel sabers. A training robot is standing still. A Xiaobei lightsaber gets activated and damages the robot. The airbag girl appears looking perfectly healthy. Leaping forward, she shouts and lands a blow to the head. The old bucket gets dizzy and takes 672 damage. Asahi sighs while tinkering with the system. A hand appears holding a saber, catching the girl's attention. It's the protagonist, fascinated by this magic amplification equipment that turns into a sword. Asahi is confused because the boy's sword is really long. Wow, she's checking out our little demon's huge sword. What a naughty girl. She's happy he came, and the boy says he came to keep his promise. He's eager to use his long sword. Our boy lands a blow on the thing's head and it starts glitching out completely, turning red after taking maximum damage. The girl was left in disbelief at what she saw, and the demon boy says the item is decent enough. The airbag girl says conventional weapons usually don't work against angels, and this saber is the crystallization of human wisdom. She asks if he didn't learn that in class. The confused boy says he thinks so, and we see a flashback of the kid studying. He says the weapon is really strong, raising it up, putting all his strength into the saber, making it shine even brighter, and swings a strike toward the robot's head, but the light disperses after hitting the old bucket, and the saber breaks. The protagonist says that even if it's a good weapon, if you have magic at a very high level, it ends up becoming garbage. The robot starts cracking and falls apart on the ground. The girl realizes that the anti-angel saber can't withstand the power of a magic user. The protagonist says the girl should master the use of the saber and improve the use of her own magic. The weird girl seems to be shouting, asking Mizukami to teach her too, because she wants to become strong. The airbag girl makes a potato face, seeing that embarrassing scene, and says that for the weirdo's current level, the training menu was enough. The weirdo looks confused, but remembers that Mizukami said she had talent. Asahi got jealous seeing that. Mizukami says he'll train the weirdo who's already blushing all over. He approaches her, saying that before they start he needs to do something, and touches the girl's cheek, making her blush even more. She makes some strange noises and collapses weirdly onto the ground. Could it be that our dark boy's finger has something special? The protagonist's future wife asks what he did to the girl. He says he just fixed her magic flow, which was clogged. The girl is still panting. The little demon steps away, grabs a saber and tosses it into the girl's lap. He tells her to try using it, and she says in disbelief that someone like her isn't capable of using that. The protagonist tells her to stop talking and just try already. She gets ready all awkwardly, as always. The impossible happens and the saber activates, leaving her shocked that she actually did it. The airbag girl is in disbelief at that. The weirdo says that among the students, only Asahi could activate the saber. The boy asks her to try striking the dummy. She gets ready and lands a hit on the head, dealing 112 damage. She's super happy, and the protagonist gives her a thumbs up. Deep down, Asahi knows that ever since she learned to use the saber, she was never able to do something like that, and she immediately tells the boy to teach her too. I think this is turning into a competition over the little demon. The protagonist looks at her and says it's not necessary, because her magic is flowing perfectly through her curves. I mean, through her body. Sad. She asks if that means she won't be able to get stronger, and looks devastated, just like me, after getting rejected. And the little demon says the same method isn't necessary, because for her, he has a special menu. Look at our striker trying to score a banger. A confused Asahi asks, What menu is he talking about? He asks her to push her magic to the limit. Somewhat suspicious, the girl says okay, and starts casting her magic to the extreme. Out of nowhere, the protag puts his hand on her head like a priest. The weirdo is shocked, but jealousy soon appears. The protag seems to be absorbing her magic, which leaves her exhausted, making her fall to the ground. She says she can't move, and the system warns that her magic is depleted. Asahi asks if he really drained all of her magic. The jealous girl says she's never seen a technique like that before. The little demon concentrates the stolen magic in his fist, charges it a bit more, and puts his hand back on Asahi's head. The protag transfers the power back to the girl, like she's a puppy getting petted. She's completely flushed. He says, "How about now?" Panting, she says her magic is fully recharged again. The weirdo says absorbing and transferring magic goes against magic theory, and Mizukami wants to know which incorrect theory. Meanwhile, the airbag girl is still panting on the floor, and raising his hand he says he's going to do it again. Asahi looks at him in disbelief. "Just like me when I finish my workout and realize I still have to do cardio." He explains that repeatedly exhausting and recovering magic increases the capacity to release it. She asks if he's serious, and the weirdo says, draining it many times can cause side effects, which is why this technique is extremely forbidden. Our Chad boy asks, "Do people really believe that nonsense?" "That's how I've always trained." He turns to Asahi and asks, "So cutie, are you in or out?" She blushes and quickly accepts the challenge, making our big guy happy. He says, "Well, if that's the case, let's repeat the process another 100 times every day." She instantly regrets accepting, and he asks, "You're ready, right?" A little awkwardly, she says yes. Then he reaches out his hand and she falls to the ground with her butt sticking up. His hand reaches out again and she gets her powers back, and the process continues until 3 hours have passed, and she ends up in a great position. "Thank you very much, artist." The boy says that was the 20th time, and figures that was great for the first day. He looks at the weirdo and asks if she's ever gone through that training method before. She says that even in the regular member test, she's never heard of a method like that. He says he understands, but wants to know what kind of organization the Angel Extermination Team is. All flushed, the weirdo says she'll explain. Magic exams are held all across the country, and students considered talented are gathered into training schools. If they reach certain grades, they're placed into one of the world's 5 Angel Extermination Teams. The regular members in Japan number around 100. The boy says that's not many. From a training school that admits at most 100 students per year, only a few become members. She says it's a popular profession because of the salary and good benefits. Internally, the demon wonders what level the elite are at. He wants to know because the absurdity about magic draining the apparently excellent magic saber and the appearance of a new type are similar to that time years ago when the angels began their attack. He knows he needs to increase the number of strong people who will stand by his side, because he can't afford to make the same mistakes as in the past, and that's why he needs to train them. He tells the girls that he's going to become a regular member now. The scene cuts to the training class in the morning. Asahi is writing something. She says the protagonist is late. He explains that he ran into the principal. Confused, she asks why. In a mysterious tone, he says she'll understand soon enough. A mustached man enters the room. Everyone immediately stands up. He slams his notebook on the desk and shouts for everyone to hear that the training exam to become a regular member will be held next week. The room falls silent. The students are terrified. The weirdo thinks it's all too sudden. The mustached guy says the matches are the principal's order. The first match is Yamazaki versus the weird girl Mizuki, and the second is our favorite couple, Mizukamafi versus Asahi. The airbag girl asks what our boy did, and he gives a sly little laugh. In the principal's office, the protagonist stares at the long-haired man. He's operating a system. He tells the boy he can't recommend him to the member system because of his grades. The boy replies that if he has sufficient combat ability, that changes everything. But the principal says it's obvious he doesn't have that much skill, and it doesn't matter that his grades are good. But the little demon knows that all he needs to do is demonstrate his power to be recognized. The principal stares with a potato face, and the boy stares right back. Then the principal smiles, clicks on his system, and says that if he defeats Asahi, that will definitely be taken into consideration. The boy asks, "If I can do it, will you really recommend me?" The principal replies that he can't make promises. Then the boy says he'll train the weirdo and make her defeat Yamazaki. The director bursts out laughing and says they're the worst students. How are they supposed to beat the top 2? And the boy raises the stakes, saying that if they don't win, the director can expel him. The man turns serious and asks if he really wants that. The demon says it'd be better for Xiaobei to accept, and asks if he doesn't want to keep his hospitalization a secret. The man tinkers with the system, and a message pops up, talking about an overdose of stuff. The director puts his hands to his chin and thinks over the conditions. After thinking it over, he says the condition is that both of them must win their fights. And the protagonist crosses his arms and says he's cool with that. Back to the present in the classroom. Yamazaki thinks he's being mocked because his opponent is the weakest in the class. The protagonist says it'll be a piece of cake to get onto the extermination team. Full of rage, Yamazaki says he didn't like that, but he'll have to do this. And he points at our little demon, saying that after he beats the girl, he'll be next. The weirdo gets scared, but the protagonist tells her not to make that face, because with the training he's going to give her, she'll definitely win. The airbag girl says she's looking forward to the fight. She says she'll try to get stronger by next week. The teacher calls Mizukami and the weird girl, telling them not to get hurt. Asahi corrects the teacher, saying that she and Yamazaki are the ones who should be careful. The teacher laughs and tells the girl to stop joking around. The scene shifts to the training center. The protagonist asks the girl if she's good at making barriers, and she says that's the only thing she knows how to do. And a little sadly, she says it's because she's a coward. The boy says that's the right instinct, the one that keeps her alive, and that she'll have to overcome her fear with logic. With tears in her eyes, the girl says Master Mizukami is amazing. The protagonist says she's going to defeat Yamazaki using her barrier. She thinks he's crazy because magic barriers are only used to buy time. He gives a little smile and says he's going to show those idiots that magic only depends on how you use it. Then the day of the tournament arrived. Mizukami is beside his future wife, and a whole crowd is waiting for the tournament to begin. Before the fight starts, the teacher says that to win you need to make your opponent surrender or knock them unconscious. He makes it very clear that he'll stop the fight if it gets too dangerous, and both of them signal that they understand. And here is the first battle of the day. Mizuki versus Yamazaki. The boy charges up an attack and says he's going to end this very quickly. While the weirdo prepares her barrier, an explosion happens in the middle of the arena. The bully charges up another blow, saying it's not over yet. The spectators say Yamazaki is overwhelming. The boy tells her to stay just like that. The girl starts preparing a power in her hand, and avoids being hit. An energy ball falls into the middle of the arena, and is split in half. Yamazaki gets furious because his trap didn't work, and starts unleashing a barrage of attacks at the girl, who is now furious. Smoke covers the arena. The bully says a smokescreen is useless, and goes on the offensive. She intensifies her barrier, and a gigantic explosion happens. The teacher is shocked when he sees that, but he can't see what happened because of the smoke. She conjured the power in her hand, making the boy retreat. The weirdo prepares another barrier, leaving the bully confused. He wonders why a remote barrier is necessary. Inside, the girl prays for this to work. In a flashback, the protagonist tells her to keep the barrier standing, and fold it in the middle. Mizuki, confused, says she doesn't know how to do that. She says that defies the laws of magic. The protagonist raises his finger, creates a small barrier, and turns it into a paper airplane, humiliating her. Back in the present, she focuses and says, "Now is the time." The barrier starts to fold, leaving the bully completely stunned. She sends the barrier toward the boy, who doesn't even realize there's another one behind him. She trapped him in a kind of triangle. He says that cheap trick won't work because the ceiling is open. She raises her hand, and a barrier starts to form above him, trapping him completely. The airbag girl says the boy is trapped. The bully starts screaming, demanding to be let out of that prison. He says this isn't a fair fight, and he'll never surrender. She says her attack magic is weak, but she can lower the oxygen concentration. The boy realizes he's screwed. She approaches the barrier and says she can keep him in there for a whole day. As she lowers the oxygen, she says she won. The boy falls to the ground, almost giving up. He can't believe he's going to lose to someone like her. Mizuki gets scared because the brat is gathering a huge amount of energy and starts screaming like Goku. He puts his hands on the barrier, making it glow until it explodes. With a bloodthirsty look, he stares at the girl who tries to run away. The bully says this fight is going to end now. He starts chasing her, preparing an attack in his hand that is heading toward the frightened girl's head. But she smiles, pulls out a Xiaobei saber and activates it near the boy's head, leaving him in shock. She says she won. The boy is shocked that she used the saber. The teacher raises his arm and shouts that the winner is Mizuki. The protagonist and Asahi are happy. The bully is angry about losing. The spectators wonder where she got that saber from. She leaves the arena, and the protagonist says she deserves congratulations. She grabs him in a strange way and says yes, and lies down on her desk. The little demon tells her to rest and just watch. The future couple is getting ready to fight in the arena. The boy in the audience says it's impossible for Mizukami to win this fight. The other asks if he's blind, since in the last fight the girl managed to defeat Yamazaki. They stare each other down in the arena. Asahi thinks she can't beat him. She activates her saber and says she'll show the results of her training. The director says from afar that the girl has improved again. The coach says he didn't expect Yamazaki to lose, but he's sure Asahi will win. The director says that if she doesn't win, it'll be a problem, because he has already prepared some organizations for her future. The protagonist raises his hand, activates a blue power and turns it into a stake. He says he adjusted his power to the girl's level. She thanks him for his consideration and prepares an attack. He blocks it with a smile. The boy in the audience is astonished because Mizukami managed to block the attack. The little demon deflects the girl's saber, leaving her in shock. She steps back and says it's not over yet. The girl charges at her husband, prepares an attack and strikes the protagonist's stake. The little demon notices something and looks at the girl's hand, which is glowing very brightly. She gets ready to strike him, but a hand grabs her saber, leaving her completely confused. He pulls her hard and starts spinning her around. Asahi falls far away from him. The little demon asks what she's trying to do. Suddenly an attack that looks like ice starts falling on top of her, but with effort she dodges. She seems to notice something and raises her arms to defend herself, but she is hit directly. and the boy says she is too slow. He says she's not that bad, but just running won't make her win. She knows he's right. With a sarcastic smile, the little demon asks if she's giving up. Asahi says she won't use any more tricks. She'll hit him with her strongest technique. She charges her saber and shouts that she put all her magic into it. The light starts becoming square-shaped, and suddenly turns into a gigantic sword, leaving the protagonist surprised. She uses all her strength and sends an attack toward the protagonist, who seems to defend himself calmly, but gets startled because the sword split his spear in half, causing an explosion in the arena. Everyone in the audience is astonished. The director celebrates, saying that if she keeps up this pace, she'll soon be on an extermination team, and her reputation will skyrocket. In the arena, she is panting after the attack, and something catches her attention. Her hands can't move, but she can't tell what's happening because of the smoke. On the other side, the protagonist is holding the sword with one hand and says that was a good technique. The girl is in shock and grips the sword tightly. The boys in the audience say, Asahi is incredible. She concentrates all her energy and starts pressing against the protagonist's hand. Asahi says she'll make him let go of the sword one way or another, but the protagonist just gives a little smile. The sword starts falling apart little by little, leaving her confused. The protagonist says that her magic and his are ricocheting. The girl focuses her eyes and sees the image of Dantario, and a memory appears of the two of them in their last moments together. Right then she asks, "Is that you?" and starts crying, calling for Dantario. He asks if she remembered him, and overjoyed she says yes. She says he managed to reincarnate perfectly. Dantario asks her to tell him what happened after his death. She struggles but says she can't remember anything. He places his hand on her head, making the weirdo scream in jealousy. He closes his eyes and enters her memories. Jane is surrounded by angels on a wooden stake that is on fire. He opens his eyes and she stares at him in fear. Dantario says that the memories engraved in her soul were sealed. She asks why, and he replies that he doesn't know. The boy says they need to look for those angels, because they are the key to restoring Jane's memories. Asahi, who is now Jane, says they can learn more about those suspicious angels. Suddenly the teacher enters the arena and asks what they are doing. The girl looks at him and says she gives up, leaving him confused. He asks if she's sure, and the girl says yes. The teacher raises the boy's arm and says he is the winner. The boys in the audience still don't understand that ending, because Mizukami defeated the class's number 1. They leave the arena, and the girl says that from now on she will call him Mizukami. He says that's fine. The weirdo stops in front of them and asks what's going on. Asahi replies that it's the same as always, but the weirdo knows there's something strange there. The girl says Asahi always trained with a killer look, but now she's different, and Asahi wants to know what she's talking about. The weirdo says she has a love-struck look in her eyes, and right away the airbag girl blushes and says she doesn't. But Mizuki shouts that the girl is definitely in love. The protagonist smiles when he sees that, looks toward the director, who is biting back his rage. Saito appears and says he's going to recommend Mizukami and Asahi as members. The director is visibly nervous. He says he knows all about the director's plan to use Asahi for his own personal gain. But with the talent the girl has, she could become one of the strongest in history. Saito knows the director wants her to grow at a steady pace, but with the way the angels have been acting strange lately, he thinks it's better to prevent a disaster before it happens. The director is furious because Asahi was his trump card for getting transferred to an American branch. Saito continues, saying that now he has 2 students climbing the ranks, and knows that would be bad for the director's record. With authorization from the extermination team, he can choose to take only Mizukami. Right away the director stands up and says that if that happens, Asahi's value will drop. He asks Saito if the failure Mizukami is worth more than Asahi. Saito asks if the director watched the fight with his eyes closed, leaving the glasses guy furious. Suddenly the protagonist appears, and says he'll have to add Mizuki to the list too. Saito greets our boy, and asks if he saw potential in her. The little demon says yes, because he's the one who's going to train her. The leader gives the boy a vote of confidence. The director slams the chair, because he's frustrated about losing the bet. The scene shifts to a little later, near the school. A gate opens above the city, and angels start coming out. At the Japanese training center of the extermination team, everyone is gathered in front of our trio. Saito introduces them, saying, "These are the new recruits." The guy with the bangs says that for them to admit 3 students at once, they must have exceptional talent. The pink-haired woman says it's rare for the leader to go this far, and the guy with the bangs wants to welcome them. Asahi gives a little smile, cracks her knuckles and says she's already heard about this so-called welcome. The guy with the bangs says he's going to face our boy. The pink-haired one says she'll go against the airbag girl, and a gorgeous woman says she can handle all 3 at once. And our boy says he doesn't mind that. The leader asks them not to hurt each other. The pink-haired one knows there's no way that's happening, and in the blink of an eye, she attacks Asahi, sending her flying several meters away. The woman with glasses smiles and charges at our weirdo, who prepares a barrier. Asahi recovers from the attack, gives a smile and jumps back into the fight, but she gets startled and slams right into the barrier. Mizuki is confused, while Asahi falls to the ground like trash. The one with glasses says she needs to learn to make a barrier just for herself, while the tattooed one says their coordination is terrible. The 2 girls are in shock, while the women have a cruel look in their eyes. The woman with glasses starts climbing the barrier, making our girls nervous. Telepathically, the protagonist gives them battle instructions. Asahi falls back while the weirdo prepares her barrier. The girl creates a barrier in a way that protects the sides. The women smile when they see that the protagonist watches, as one climbs and the other runs to attack from the side. The pink-haired one is almost at the rear. Asahi prepares an attack, and the battle starts getting serious. The woman with glasses manages to climb the barrier, and prepares a Rasengan with her right hand, but she gets caught in a trap set by Mizuki, who smiles after trapping her. Meanwhile, Asahi is in a fierce fight, kick here, punch there, and the protagonist watches everything from afar. The guy with the bangs appears behind our boy, and tries an attack that is instantly blocked by the aura farmer. The guy asks if the kid is just going to watch the fight. He replies that if he joins the fight, it'll end in 1 second. The guy says he likes the new recruit spirit. The little demon activates his aura, scaring the guy. And sarcastically, the boy asks if this wasn't the guy who was supposed to welcome him. The protagonist lifts the guy up and throws him far away. Telepathically asks Asahi to launch him into the air. When the guy goes to headbutt her, she raises her wrecking ball foot and kicks him so hard it nearly caves his skull in. He goes flying again, and this time toward Mizuki, who as soon as she sees him, breaks into a smile and traps him. The pink-haired one says Asahi shouldn't have looked away, and goes into attack, but our Sigma appears and punches the woman in the gut, making her go to sleep early. Everyone is stunned, seeing that, but the leader smiles. The weirdo says they did it, but the protagonist says no. Suddenly the barrier comes undone, and they are freed. The protagonist still throws in a jab, saying they're better than he imagined. The smiling MILF says he's arrogant, and the guy with the bangs says he's very skilled. Saito appears, and wants to know if they're satisfied. The guy with the bangs asks why the leader is so proud, and he replies that he was the first to notice the boy. He looks at our little demon, and says he's excited to work with him. Suddenly the Apple Watch rings, and everyone looks at their wrists. Angels have been sighted near Ariake. People are in shock, and started running in fear. Our extermination team arrived at the scene, and spotted a gate in the sky with the weirdest angels I've ever seen. They are eager for the massacre. Asahi notices there are 10 of them at once, and the MILF says their team was the first to arrive there. However, the two notice something strange. Could it be some kind of divine portal? The extras are trembling with fear. The weirdo says that the last time something like this happened, humanity was wiped out. The MILF says that according to what was listed in the first appearance, all the humans in the city were devoured. The one with bangs wants to know why this had to happen right now. Everyone is blurred. The weirdo says she finally became a team member, and will prove her worth no matter what. Someone puts a hand on her shoulder. It's the airbag girl, telling her to calm down so she doesn't end up dying like an idiot. She closes her eyes and remembers that time when she used to exterminate angels, and says they are good memories. The population is desperate. The leader is distressed, but he tells the rookies to help evacuate the civilians. The protagonist asks if Saito will be able to handle it, to which he says he'll figure something out. Then the protagonist joins his women, and says he's going. The scene shifts to inside a shopping mall. People are running from an angel. An idiot trips and falls face first onto the floor. He turns around in fear, and the angel is heading toward him. But the creature's hand gets sliced off, leaving it confused. It was our airbag girl who sliced it. The angry angel regenerates its arm, but the other one gets cut off. This time, it was our little demon. The future couple stares down the creature. A barrier crashes into the angels. Mizuki tells everyone to run. She notices something strange. An angel is about to grab a man, but Asahi appears and strikes the creature. The protagonist jumps over it and cuts off one of its arms. He looks back and a big-chinned one appears, but Asahi rips off the thing's head and jaw. They make a beautiful couple, right guys? The weirdo says they are in great sync. The protag tells them to hurry, because he knows the extermination team won't hold out much longer. Back to the team, we see they had an intense battle. The women are exhausted after the battle, and Saito fights against an angel, but then more angels appear from the sky. The tattooed girl is in shock because it seems like there's no end to it. Saito prepares himself by charging his aura and launches an attack, causing 2 explosions. The gate remains intact, and Saito says it had no effect, and the MILF says that no matter how many they defeat, at this rate they'll run out of magic. A purple light appears behind them and shoots toward the angels. It explodes near them, blowing the heads off some of them. When the team looks back, they see that our protag and his women have arrived to help. Saito immediately jumps for joy when he sees them. The one with bangs says he was waiting for them. The woman with glasses looks up and wonders how they're going to bring down that gate. Asahi calls out to Danterio, who says to leave it in his hands. He charges his demonic aura, but suddenly a helicopter appears and drops a ladder. The protag analyzes it. Soldiers from the 2nd Assault Union appear. Far away from there, in a room with a giant screen, a guy says he got permission to operate there. The cross-eyed guy chuckles and says this will be a fun experiment. In the monitor room, we see the cross-eyed guy. He is the research chief, Kenzo Hirokawa. He slams the keyboard just like I do after failing a Cuphead stage. The soldiers move into formation and from their armor a needle is injected into their necks. A 5-minute timer appears. The soldiers go crazy and drop to the ground like trash. The cross-eyed guy orders 5 of them to destroy the angels, and the rest to destroy the gate. Suddenly the trash bags are standing again, and rush into battle. The angels are eager. The soldier draws a sword. 2 soldiers join the fight. From above he launches an attack, but the angel blocks it. From below, the MILF asks what they are doing. Saito explains that there's a rumor about the enhancement union. They enhance their soldiers' magic through little substances. She wants to know if the higher-ups really believe this will work. The soldier charges in with 2 swords and slices an angel in half. They begin charging an attack against the angels, and a series of explosions happens. The angel gets angry, and a huge explosion happens. Mizuki asks if they did it, but the protag just watches. He starts charging his power. The gate opens again. The cross-eyed guy is in shock, seeing that an alarm starts going off in his room, and Hirakawa wants to know what that was just now. The soldiers started falling from the sky. The cross-eyed guy checks his squad's vitality. There are a little over 2 minutes left. Hirakawa complains because it was supposed to work in 3 and tells his soldiers to evacuate no matter what. He realized that in combat the little substance was stronger than in training, and their combat capabilities were lower than he imagined. Saito's Apple Watch vibrates. It's the cross-eyed guy saying to leave the rest to him. Just as Saito is about to say something, it cuts off and a helicopter appears. The soldiers are rescued and taken away from there. The tattooed girl wants to know how they're going to destroy that gate. So nobody wants to call a locksmith, huh? Saito suggests a missile, but Asahi says human weapons don't work, only magic works against that. The leader asks if she knows something. She says I don't, but he does. And the protagonist is face to face with the gate wearing a sleazy grin. The protagonist goes up to destroy the portal. A newbie using a 4th circle spell is impressive. Since he can't destroy the portal, he's going to disable it. They try to stop him. And whoever has a group has everything. But these guardian angels are like cockroaches. They just keep showing up, even trying magic, but they can't stop the protagonist. The group celebrates annoying the protagonist. Since there's not much left now. In the meeting room, they talk about the number of monsters being much higher than last year, but it's shameful how they fought. If it weren't for the protagonist, they wouldn't have made it. The guy is so badass that even if they called more people to match him, it still wouldn't compare. The captain won't let them give up because the portals still aren't finished. And the problems only keep growing, making the newbies nervous. He reassures them, explaining how a dungeon transformation works. Questions start to come up, even for the protagonist. This is difficult. Monsters only stop coming when the core is destroyed, and now the plan is for them to always be prepared. A notification arrives on the watch, warning that the dungeon transformation is happening. The group argues among themselves. But this isn't the time to argue, because the chaos has begun. This isn't a mission for newbies, but some people want to prove themselves. It's very risky. Some people agree, saying this group doesn't have anyone strong enough. That's George Matsuda from the anti-angel unit. He looks like the kind of guy who's only there to eat snacks, but he just wants one more adventure because he wants to train the strongest newbie. The group wouldn't be able to destroy this dungeon, but with the help of a hunter, they get to work. The blondie doesn't get off on the right foot with the group, because this hunter only made the situation worse. The protagonist's power impresses the group again. Since the authors wouldn't make a weak protagonist, now the surroundings are clear. That means the adventure has only just begun. That definitely wasn't a decision made by the whole group, but angels appear. And finally, we're going to see the blondie's power. Dodging like Rocky Balboa, throwing the punch of the gods, finishing off the angel. But they don't stop coming, and this time it's Asahi doing the wrecking. The group gains confidence. Now all that's left is to destroy the core. He explains better how this mana gauntlet works. Since it still has strengths and weaknesses, they enter the dungeon. It's pretty normal for some people to feel sick, and this time it was Mizuki. Since a dungeon is a completely different world, angels appear. This was everything we wanted. Using ice magic, turning the monsters into popsicles, but not all of them end up frozen. Others stay inside the barrier. Even as newbies, our group fights well, and with teamwork, the angels on this floor are wiped out. The protagonist's training is paying off, but this isn't the time to rest, because besides ice he controls fire. That's not normal for a newbie, but it's normal for the Demon King, and they advance through the dungeon. A portal is created, swallowing the protagonist, separating the group. Where to, you ask? There's even more chaos, even giant angels, putting our heroes in danger, because now there are 5 normal angels, another 2 that can teleport, and this beast that came out of Attack on Titan. They get ready, and they want to finish this quickly to reunite with one group. Another element, the protagonist gives off, finishing off the angels, and he throws more magic at the other angels, making them flee. But our blondie isn't going to let that slide, throwing his super punch, which has no effect at all. Without wasting time, the angel sends him flying. On the other side, we have the protagonist, who casts his fire magic, completely finishing off the monster. His power is incredible. He does this without using any tricks, which is strange because he already had an overdose. But the blondie understands that people can get strong just by training. Acting like this, he looks like a narcotics investigator, where the protagonist lands a direct hit, but it's not a problem, since it's just work. They think about the plan because they want to return to the girls. You can see that they're fighting, and the protagonist launches this purple stain that goes through the walls. Meanwhile, they are surrounded trying their hardest to survive. The trail passes by them, and the group is finally reunited. Even tired, Asahi runs to the protagonist, which is strange since they're just friends, but they don't know about the past she had of the two together in the vision. That look leaves Mizuki terrified. They want to know how they managed to get there with mana. He can track anywhere. That's scary, but there's no time to lose. They cut down more angels and start running again. This atmosphere is very similar to the one from the previous war. This shows the memory of humans losing. Then they reach the core, but they can't leave there without defeating everyone. They go in to exterminate. They are stopped by a door which the Beast Titan opens, but in a second, he tries to throw a punch causing an explosion. But it wasn't from his punch itself, but from this young knight protecting his wife. This is surreal, and the Demon King's memory returns to Asahi's mind, where the plan is for them to help. Even face to face, she doesn't tremble. This is madness. But for her, this is going to be a test. And there wouldn't be a better test than the Beast Angel. But he only has eyes for one person, the goat, making her irritated, because it should be the whole group's duty to defeat it, not just him. So the group draws their weapons and faces the giant. Dodging lands an ice punch. From above, it's no different. They are managing it, but this is still only the beginning. With a technique from 600 years ago, she gains more strength. And for a rookie, that's a lot. She attacks when he tries to run away. He's still trapped by ice magic, but the bastard manages to defend himself. Now it's his turn to attack, but teamwork is their strong suit. But even so, he sends her into the wall and goes for the final blow. Our hero appears. Look at that face like he wants to keep going, but now it's his time to shine, leaving the group out of the battle, just like in the old days. And the Demon King of this world doesn't lose to a beta. This technique isn't very good, because the enemies need to be weak. Thanks to that, he lands his Superman punch. Using the blonde guy's technique, he leaves the angel unable to enjoy life. But it's still not over, and he uses his trump card, which is stopped by the protagonist's barrier. He tries everything to get at the protagonist, but gets stopped in a mana net. Now with a mana sword in hand, he knows that with great power comes great responsibility, cutting the Titan in half. They finally clear the dungeon. The negative energy disappeared, and our warriors come out being cheered, praised by the leader, but they went without authorization. Everyone knows how the protagonist cleared the dungeon, even though they were 10-meter monsters, and different kinds of angels. They managed it with 4 people. Not just any 4 people, because their unit wouldn't recruit weaklings. Good thing they managed to come back safely. But that's not all. The 2 of them apologize and say that if it weren't for the protagonist's training, they wouldn't have made it. But even so, they didn't want punishment. If the group gets away without any punishment, it would set a bad example. But whoever is king never becomes a commoner, leaving the group irritated. Even with the leader accepting it, not everyone agrees. And if this keeps up, they'll put an end to the problems. But the unit needs to improve in several aspects. And now their focus is illegal mana steroids, since there's a factory making millions. George starts explaining the plan right away this time. They weren't supposed to break the rules. Now at the factory, the protagonist takes his ID, and no matter how he got it, we should all have a friend like George. The 2 enter the factory, looking at all kinds of pills. It's not a good memory for the protagonist. They wanted to use mana, but there were detectors, so it's easier to track it through the money, asking Mizuki for help. George wants to know if she can get them into the security room. Even with her crush asking, she'll be able to do it. A guy tries to stop them, but he goes to sleep nice and peacefully. And yes, they got the security room card. They didn't stop themselves from beating up a few guys, making the job easier. Now the mana detectors are disabled, but that wasn't where they kept the purchase records for the materials. How are they managing to manufacture it? There's our answer. A room full of soul suckers, where there is a guardian. The heroes arrive. They realize they're creating the steroids by transmitting mana through blood. The lucky guy of the moment appears, and being a nice guy doesn't always make them look good. The guy tries to explain himself, but then he gets upset that this shouldn't be their problem. But that's already a reason for the group to investigate. Confused, he presses the button, causing chaos in the factory. The mana detectors are activated. They launch an attack that cuts his cheek. When George activates his gauntlet, the guy recognizes him. It was the famous George, injecting mana steroids, because he knows he can't handle a fist fight, making the guy completely recognizable, saying that no one can stop him. Casting 3rd cycle magic. But for those who don't know about mana, using steroids is stupidity. He takes a punch, leaving his arm frozen. But that's not what's going to stop the monster. He breathed. He got punched, making him scrape his back on the ground. He pulls the cables out of the people and starts eating, grotesquely transforming the monster, throwing our heroes far away. But it takes much more than that to finish them off. The monster thinks that's impossible and charges forward, but his punch gets stopped and he gets counterattacked. But it wasn't enough. And no matter how much strength he has, he doesn't make the protagonist sweat. The more he eats, the stronger he gets, launching another attack. But he ends up hobbling around on crutches. A lightning bolt strikes the building, leaving a hole in the roof. Going back to the monster, where it starts to disappear. Even the protagonist wipes his sneaker on the ashes. The Powerpuff Girls join the group and ask what happened. But the night is only just beginning. Without wasting time, they start getting ready. This mana doesn't seem strange. It belonged to the factory's guardian angel.